Oh, what? All I've learned about this game is you're just better if you just don't use any hero powers and you just shoot people. You get distracted with your hero powers, you end up just failing miserably.
Trick shots. Give me a corpse. Give me a corpse. Give me a corpse.
Is that not a corpse? Is that not a corpse? I am looking at the corpse. I press the button. It says, give me a corpse. That was a corpse, sir. Hello? Aim? The hell was that? That wasn't an aim.
Welcome to my
Oh, this is disgusting. Why does it move like this? Oh, what is this design? Oh, trash. That's not cool. Look at that. What the hell is this? So as you can see, I haven't had fun playing Valorant. I mean, CSGO. I mean, Overwatch. Shit. Valorant in itself isn't really original. It's a copy of two other games. So was League of Legends. It was a copy of Dota, and Dota was a copy of a mod. And, well, it just doesn't look good for Riot Games, I'll be honest. My opinion of Valorant when I saw it on Twitch was that it was boring and it would suck. And playing it, I can confirm that it's boring and it sucks. There's a lot of problems, and I'll get into those. Let's just start with the reasons why you'd play this game. I mean, it's probably because you're looking for a competitive shooter. Right, okay, so if you want better shooting mechanics, CSGO. What if you want unique hero abilities as well as shooter mechanics? Overwatch. And I'm repeating myself here, but that's literally this game in a nutshell. It's trying to compete in an area that already have the best of the best. And so in a way, this game is just repeating itself. Now yeah, the characters' abilities are kind of unique, but they are also very similar to other games out there. You've got your sort of scout, you've got your defensive abilities like smokes, and you've got offensive abilities that cause damage like fire and gas and all sorts of stuff. There's not so much verticality in this game as there is with Overwatch. It's more like CSGO in the way the game actually plays out, which I think is another reason why the hero abilities just seem so limited, and why one of the stances I had whilst playing is that you're just better off just shooting people rather than using your abilities most of the time, because yeah, you get distracted and things just don't work. And yeah, it's beta, I get that, and things will change, but this is clearly the direction the developers wanted us to see them going with this game, and it's a direction I don't agree with. If you want to capture an audience and you want to create fun, entertaining games, you need to make them your own, and that's the first thing this game fails to do. It fails to stand out amongst the rest. Now, putting the philosophy of this game aside, let's talk about the actual game itself. So, it's not as buggy as I was expecting. There are a few game design choices I don't quite understand. I think there's just too many keys to press. It really confuses gameplay. I think that, as you witnessed probably in some of the background footage going on, there are some issues with some hero powers. I think that balance is okay. Some characters are pretty useless, though, compared to other characters who have do basically the same thing but in a much better way. For example, this character here that I was playing as with the bow has an ability to shoot an arrow which sort of sends off a sensor which shows you where players are in that area. And there are lots of other characters like that, like there's one with a drone and there's one that uses spy cameras. Problem with that character though with the spy cameras is that it takes you out of the game for quite a while. You're sat there in like a Rainbow Six Siege sort of tablet looking at this screen until you decide to come out of it, which means you are vulnerable the entire time. Whereas the other character with the bow and arrow, he gets to actively pursue the bad guys that he sees and finds with his powers. Also, this game has like a money system, which I don't quite get. It's not like CSGO where you sort of have this idea of, well, the terrorists have to be able to afford weapons, and the counter-terrorists obviously are funded by the government. They've got to be able to afford weapons too. So like, oh, you know, it also adds some sort of balance and competitive strategy to the game. But in this game, in Valorant, money doesn't seem to actually have any value. I just have loads of it after round 2, and I've never run out. I mean, unless you're awful, you don't really run out of money at all. So I've never seen the money as much of an issue. I don't even know why it's there. Just have purchase restrictions in general. The maps themselves are really bland, boring to look at, and they're very repetitive. Extremely repetitive. Out of all the games I played, I think one of the most memorable matches was on this map that you're looking at right now. But it wasn't in this particular game. I was on the defending side against the attackers, and what I noticed is that the exact things were happening every turn. We'd have one guy in mid and 2 guys either side, and they'd always have like 3 people going down mid slowly. We'd all come up around the sides and just squash them, and we won that game. I think, was it 12-3? It was an annihilation. It's probably due to the fact that in this game, unlike CSGO, you have some sort of Overwatch pre-startup movement access, like you can move around, and it's that access to being able to move to locations on the map prior to the game starting, which I think causes this repetitive nature in gameplay. It causes people to go to the same spots every time. It causes people to start interacting with each other almost instantaneously. So as soon as that round starts, you peek that first corner, someone's there. So Overwatch, Overwatch kind of has the issue too, but the maps are much bigger on Overwatch. And CSGO, obviously, you start in your little hut, which means no one can see anyone as soon as you start moving, and it kind of means that, I don't know, you're sort of traveling more, you're sort of thinking more about where you're going. This game, there's 2 seconds between the game starting and you fighting someone, and it's not long enough to really think about strategies. Maybe that's a low level way of thinking, maybe there are more highly skilled players that do that, but in general casual play, that's how the games seem to be. Another issue I definitely want to talk about is just the settings menu, the optimization for this game. It does run really well, obviously, because the game looks like it was done by a child with potatoes as paintbrushes. It's an extremely simple game in its style and its aesthetics and its the way it looks. Even the backgrounds are just 2D cutout images, they're not 3D models. And the polygon count is probably like next to 0. So it does run really well. So no worries running this on a low-end machine or a laptop if you've got one. What I will say though is that if you run any other resolution other than 16:9, you're going to have a horrible time. I run ultra-wide. I always play ultra-wide. I stream in 21:9 because it means people on mobile who are watching get a full screen experience. You know, it's more cinematic in my opinion. Also, the access to information is, I feel, greater when you're playing on ultra-wide. This game, however, really, either by design or by fault, restricts you to a 16:9 aspect ratio, and it's disgusting. It just makes me not want to play the game because I can't actually play it on my computer properly. I'm forced to play with their restrictions, which just aren't fun. And I don't want to get too into it because I don't know very much about it, but there is still talk about Riot Games being funded by China and the malware software you have to run the game, and it being quite invasive, and there's all this sort of stuff that basically just makes the whole idea of playing Valorant more frequently less appealing, let's say. And I think that brings me to our final conclusion. My opinion of Valorant in general is that it is a good base for a game. It takes all the good qualities of other games and mashes them up into, I guess, what on paper should be an appealing franchise for Riot Games. But when it actually comes to gameplay, and I think when it comes to how popular it is in the community, it's only popular at the moment on Twitch because of those Twitch drops. That's it. I don't think this game has got a life going for it. I mean, Summit had a really good opinion when he said that it's just boring to look at. It's boring to play. It's boring as a viewer to watch. At the moment, that's my opinion also. And I think that because this game is so heavily designed to compete against Overwatch, CSGO and other competitive shooters that already have a tournament base, this game is really struggling, I think, to grasp what makes those games incredible. It's not because it was designed to do tournaments, it's because it was a good game first, which became a tournament base with following behind it. I don't think they're going to penetrate that sort of market with this game. Maybe that'll change, or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe because it's Riot Games and they've got a lot of money, maybe they will just fund it themselves and they'll push tournaments aggressively as a way to boost the game. But I don't know. League of Legends is very successful. This game could be very successful, even if I think it's a pile of dog wag. It's just not fun. It's just not fun. It's not a fun game. It's just not a fun game. It's a bad game. Oh, it's so bad. Hey, I'm gonna Twitch and I'm gonna go download this VOD and I'm gonna make a video about how bad this game is. So thank you all for coming.